Welcome back, everybody. Today we're going deep on Augustus.
Rome's first emperor.
Right. But we're not just doing the great emperor greatest hits.
Mm-hmm.
We're really going to try and understand the man.
Yeah, the man behind the myth.
Exactly. And we've got some really interesting sources
We do.
for this deep dive.
Yeah, we've got Suetonius and Dio Cassius giving us the historical accounts.
Oh, cool.
And then we have a scholarly paper
Okay.
that examines Augustus's laws on morality.
Interesting.
And to top it all off, we've got a YouTube video
Oh, wow.
that dives into his wealth.
Nice. So Augustus.
Yes.
I mean, most people know him as the Pax Romana guy.
Right, the peace and prosperity.
Right. But how did he even get there? What was his strategy?
Well, his rise to power
Yeah.
was anything but straightforward.
Right.
You have to remember, he was born
Yeah.
in the late Roman Republic,
Yeah.
and it was a time of just turmoil,
Yeah.
civil war all over the place,
Mm-hmm.
powerful figures like Julius Caesar, all trying to grab control.
Yeah. Let's not forget Augustus. That wasn't even his name.
Oh, that's right.
Right. He was born Gaius Octavius.
Exactly. It was only after Caesar's assassination
Right.
that he took the name Augustus.
Meaning,
It means revered one.
oh, okay.
Pretty smart move, I think.
Yeah.
You know, it elevates his status,
Right.
links him to Caesar.
Yeah. It's like ancient branding.
It is.
Speaking of Caesar,
Yeah.
I mean, their relationship
Absolutely.
was key.
For sure.
Like, he was Caesar's great nephew and heir.
Yeah.
I mean, that gives him a huge leg up,
Huge advantage.
but also puts a target on his back.
Oh, absolutely. After Caesar was killed, Augustus was only 19.
19.
Can you imagine having to step into that kind of power vacuum at that age?
Oh, my God.
He was thrown into this world of just
Yeah.
violence and politics,
It's a lot.
and he had to play it very carefully.
I'm surprised he survived,
Right.
let alone thrived.
Yeah.
And Suetonius,
Yes.
one of our sources,
Mm-hmm.
he recounts these crazy stories about Augustus's birth,
Oh, yeah.
which really add to this sense of destiny.
It's fascinating how Suetonius describes these almost supernatural events.
Right.
You know, like the serpent
Yeah.
that Atia, his mother, encountered, and
Yeah.
then the dream she had about the sun rising from her womb.
Just like out of a movie.
I know, but these stories, whether embellished or not,
Yeah.
they were carefully woven into this narrative
Right.
of Augustus's life,
To present him as chosen.
you know,
Yeah.
divinely chosen for greatness.
I wonder how much of that was just propaganda.
Yeah. Even back then, image was everything.
It seems like it.
It did.
But it wasn't just, divine favor
No.
that got him to the top right.
Of course not.
He had to have some political instincts.
He did. He had some very shrewd political instincts.
So how did he outmaneuver his
Yeah.
rivals?
That's one of the most interesting parts of his rise, is how he managed to come out on top against Mark Antony
Okay.
and
Nabotus.
his fellow triumvirs.
Right, the triumvirate.
Yes.
That's something I vaguely remember from school.
Okay.
Can you remind me?
Of course.
That was that.
Okay, so after Caesar died,
Right.
Rome was just in chaos.
Yeah.
And to try and restore some order,
Mm-hmm.
and let's be honest, grab some power,
Yeah.
Antony, Lepidus, and Augustus
Right.
formed the second triumvirate.
Okay.
It was a shaky alliance from the get-go.
I bet.
All of them constantly trying to get one up on the others.
So how did Augustus come out on top?
Right.
I mean, I know Actium, the battle, is a big turning point.
Yes, Actium.
But how did he even get to that point?
Well, he was incredibly strategic.
Okay.
Take Lepidus, for example.
Okay.
He had a big army.
Right.
He was a real threat to Augustus.
Yeah.
But Augustus managed to manipulate the situation,
Okay.
stripped Lepidus of all his military power,
Wow.
and basically forced him into exile,
Ruthless.
but effective.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow. I hadn't realized how cunning
Oh, yeah.
he was.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's Antony.
Oh, yes.
Their rivalry is like legendary.
It is.
Right.
Their alliance was always going to be a problem.
Yeah.
And when Antony hooked up with Cleopatra,
Right. The Queen of Egypt.
yes,
Okay.
Augustus saw his chance.
Okay.
And he used propaganda like a pro
Sure.
to basically paint Antony as a traitor to Rome.
Right.
This guy's seduced by a foreign queen.
I mean, didn't he even make Antony's will public?
He did.
Yeah.
And it revealed that Antony was going to leave everything to Cleopatra's children.
So that was a PR nightmare.
It was a complete disaster for Antony.
Wow, he was playing 4D chess,
He was.
and everyone else was playing checkers.
Yes.
This all leads up to Actium.
It does.
right? The big naval showdown.
The battle that cemented Augustus's control.
And a battle that Augustus basically ensured he was going to win.
Oh, yeah. He positioned his fleet strategically.
With?
Led by Agrippa, a brilliant general.
Okay.
He took advantage of Antony's weaker forces.
And that led to Antony and Cleopatra's
Defeat and their suicides.
Oh, wow.
Tragic end for them,
Right.
but a decisive victory for Augustus.
Yeah, so rivals eliminated.
Mm-hmm.
Now he can focus on transforming Rome.
Yes.
But before we get to all that,
Okay.
can we take a quick look
Yeah.
at Augustus'
Yeah.
early life?
Mm-hmm.
What was he like
Right.
before emperor?
That's a great question. And Suetonius actually gives us some clues.
Okay.
He describes Augustus as a disciplined and ambitious young man.
Not your average Roman teenager.
No, not at all. Even in his youth, he showed real intelligence
Yeah.
and drive,
Right.
and those qualities combined with his political skills
Mm-hmm.
and maybe a little bit of luck
Yeah.
laid the groundwork for his rise to power.
This is where I think it gets really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
We start to see the man,
Yeah.
his personality,
Right.
maybe even his flaws.
Yeah.
But it sounds like he was great
Oh, yeah.
at cultivating a public image.
No, he was a master at it.
And that's something
Yep.
we're going to have to explore more.
Yeah. Augustus's reign wasn't just about military victories or power.
Yeah.
It was about shaping how people saw him,
Right.
crafting a story that made his rule seem legitimate
Right.
and secure his legacy.
Okay. And speaking of legacies,
Yes.
this guy accomplished some incredible things.
He did.
Right. He transformed Rome
Yes.
from brick to marble.
That's right.
But we'll get into all of that
Yes.
in part 2
That's
of
it.
our deep dive.
All right.
So Augustus has won, right?
Yes.
He's the top dog in Rome.
Mm-hmm.
What does he do? Throw a giant party.
No, not exactly. Augustus was very smart politically.
Okay.
He knew that to really stay in power, he needed the people on his side.
The Roman people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what better way to do that than to rebuild their city?
Make it all shiny and new.
Exactly. Make it impressive.
And that's where his famous quote comes in, right?
Oh, you mean the city of brick to a city of marble one?
Yeah. Sounds a little boastful.
It does.
But he wasn't wrong, was he?
No, he really did launch this huge building program.
Temples, theaters, aqueducts.
Baths, everything. He really wanted to show everyone how grand and powerful Rome was.
It's like, I don't know, can you imagine being an average Roman and seeing all this happening?
Oh, yeah, it would have been amazing.
All this marble popping up?
Mm-hmm. A real sign that peace had returned after all that fighting.
And don't forget the political side of things.
Oh, right. Every new building was like a reminder of Augustus's power.
It's like propaganda, but in stone.
Exactly. He was building his legacy.
Okay, but he did more than just monuments, right?
Oh, yeah, he knew Rome needed to actually work.
So like infrastructure.
Yeah, he fixed the water system, made the sewers better, even created a fire brigade.
Wow, that's thinking ahead.
It is. He wanted a city that would last.
So not just about flashy projects.
Right. It was about the future of Rome.
But Augustus also had bigger plans, right?
Oh, yeah, much bigger.
Like reshaping society.
Exactly. He wanted to change how Romans lived.
That's where his laws on morality come in.
It is. Augustus really thought that a strong empire needed strong morals.
I mean, it's kind of weird to think about today, right?
It is a leader dictating morality.
Yeah. But what were some of the actual laws?
Well, one of the most famous is the Lex Julia de Adulteris.
Which basically means...
It made adultery a crime.
Okay, so not just punishing cheating.
Right, this was about controlling sexual behavior.
To strengthen marriage.
Exactly. Augustus thought marriage was the foundation of Roman society.
So how is adultery even defined?
It was broader than you might think.
Oh.
Yeah, not just intercourse, but any inappropriate behavior.
Between a man and a woman.
Yeah, who weren't married.
Even like flirting.
Seduction,
Yeah.
trying to entice a married woman.
Wow, that's pretty intense.
It was, and the penalties were serious too.
Like,
Exile, losing your property, even death.
okay, so this guy was serious.
It seems that way, but historians actually disagree about how strictly these laws were enforced.
So maybe he wasn't such a moral crusader after all.
Well, the paper we have suggests is more complicated than that.
Okay, how so?
There's evidence that Augustus sometimes intervened,
Sure.
show leniency, or even stop trials.
Interesting. So maybe it was more about sending a message.
Yeah, like this is how I think you should behave.
But not necessarily punishing every little thing.
Maybe he just wanted to keep the elite in check.
Let them know he was watching.
Exactly, even when it came to their personal lives.
Using morality to keep his power.
It's possible, but we should also remember what was happening in Roman society.
Things were changing.
They were The old ways were fading.
And Augustus might have seen these laws as a way to bring back order.
To stabilize things.
Okay, I see the logic, but wasn't all this moral stuff kind of contradicted by his own family?
You're talking about Julia.
Yeah, his daughter.
Yeah, yes, Julia.
Her story's kind of crazy, right?
It is both tragic and fascinating.
Augustus tried to control her,
Oh, he did arranging marriages to powerful men.
hoping to secure his dynasty.
But she wasn't having it.
No, Julia was a free spirit. Yeah, she did what she wanted.
She did.
And her affairs were pretty notorious.
They were a huge scandal.
Also when she got involved with
Ulysses
Antonius.
Antony's son.
Yeah, that was a direct challenge to Augustus.
What did he do?
He banished her.
Wow.
Sent her to a remote island, basically, under house arrest,
And Ulysses Antonius.
forced to commit suicide.
It's a reminder that even Augustus couldn't control everything.
Yeah, not even his own family.
It makes you wonder, did Julia's actions change his mind about the morality laws?
Did they make him question himself?
Yeah.
It's hard to say, the sources don't tell us.
But you have to imagine it had some impact.
It's possible, yeah, that
Yeah.
he saw the limits of trying to force his views on others.
Even his own daughter.
Right? Even her.
It's just such a human story.
It is.
Even the most powerful guy in the world has these family dramas.
It shows us that Augustus was a complicated person.
Yeah, contradictions all over the place.
A ruthless politician, but also a father.
A reformer, but struggling with his family.
And his moral reforms didn't stop with adultery.
Oh, no, he was also very focused on marriage and children.
Especially for the elite.
The Roman elite, yes.
Why was that?
He saw the low birth rate among the aristocracy as a problem.
A threat to Rome.
Yes. He thought a strong elite meant a strong Rome.
So he made more laws.
He did things like the Lex Papia Papaya,
Which did what?
basically encouraged people to get married and have kids.
And if you didn't,
there were penalties.
wait, you could be punished for not having kids.
It does seem strange to us now,
Very strange.
but it was a different time.
Different values.
Augustus thought he was doing what was best for Rome.
Even if it seems extreme to us.
Exactly.
Did it even work?
Did the elite start having more babies?
Yeah.
It's hard to say for sure.
Because
The sources don't really give a clear answer,
Okay.
but we know the laws were not popular,
I can imagine.
especially among the wealthy.
Yeah, I bet nobody wants to be told to have kids.
They saw it as interference in their personal lives.
And messing with inheritance.
Exactly.
Didn't Suetonius mention something about protests?
Oh, yes. He describes a scene at a gladiator game
Okay.
where the crowd started shouting against the Lex Papia Papaya.
Wow. Right in front of Augustus.
Yeah, apparently he was really shaken by it.
So what did he do?
He had to back down a bit.
Really?
He suspended the law, made some changes.
Wow. Augustus compromising.
It doesn't seem like him, does it?
Not at all. It shows that even he had to listen to the people sometimes.
Sometimes.
But what was his real goal with all these moral reforms?
Right. Was it really about making Rome better?
Or just another way to increase his control?
That's a question historians are still debating.
And one that we'll keep exploring.
As we delve deeper into Augustus's life and his legacy.
So we've talked about Augustus's rise to power, his building projects, and even his attempts to control morality.
Mm-hmm.
But there's one thing we haven't really dug into yet, and that's his wealth.
Ah, yes.
The YouTube video kind of touched on it, but I'm really curious.
Yeah.
Just how wealthy was this guy?
Well, it's hard to say exactly,
Right.
but Augustus was definitely one of the wealthiest people ever.
Like ever?
Ever. Some historians think he controlled like a fifth of the entire Roman economy.
1/5.
At the height of his power, of course.
That's insane. Where did all that money come from?
Well, a lot of it came from war.
Right? To the victor go the spoils.
Exactly. Augustus won a lot of battles.
Lots of treasure.
Tons of treasure and money from his enemies.
And there were inheritances too, right?
Oh, yeah. He was Caesar's heir.
Really?
Plus, he inherited from other family and allies.
So born rich got richer by conquering.
You could say that, but he also controlled important resources.
Yeah.
The gold mines in Egypt, for example.
Oh, right.
Those were incredibly valuable.
And let's not forget taxes.
Ah, yes. Taxes.
A vast empire,
Means a lot of tax revenue flowing into the treasury.
which Augustus controlled.
Of course.
It's crazy to think about the scale of his wealth.
It is.
But did he just sit on it?
Like a dragon.
Yeah.
No, Augustus was smarter than that. Okay, he knew that wealth was power.
Okay.
A way to get what he wanted.
So he used it for his building projects.
Exactly. Kept the army strong.
Provided grain for the people.
Entertainment, all of that.
So basically buying loyalty and stability.
You could see it that way.
Showing everyone how generous he was.
Mm-hmm. Reinforcing that image of the benevolent ruler.
But also a smart political move,
Oh, absolutely.
right? By investing in those things.
Infrastructure, military, public welfare.
He strengthened his own power.
It's amazing how wealth can shape history.
It makes you wonder what a modern Augustus would do with that kind of money.
That is a fascinating question.
Right.
It makes you think about wealth inequality today.
And how much influence the super rich have.
Absolutely.
But getting back to Augustus, I mean, his impact on Rome was huge.
Oh, yeah.
He set the stage for the Pax Romana
2 centuries of peace and prosperity.
and the start of an empire that changed the world.
His legacy is incredible. He took Rome from a failing republic to a powerful empire.
Army reforms, new government.
Law, architecture, culture, he influenced it all.
But as we've seen, he was also a complicated guy,
Mm-hmm.
ruthless and generous.
A reformer who wanted to control everything.
Even his own family.
But couldn't always.
His story shows that history is never black and white.
No, it's full of ambition and intrigue.
And a little bit of strangeness.
For sure.
That's what makes Augustus so interesting to me.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't just a name in a book, he was a real person,
With flaws and contradictions.
just like us.
Exactly.
And his story gives us a glimpse into this crazy time in history.
When the world was changing.
And the foundations of Western civilization were being built.
It raises important questions about power and leadership.
Questions that are still relevant today.
Definitely.
Well, as we wrap up this deep dive,
Mm-hmm.
I'm left wanting to learn more.
I hope our listeners feel the same.
Yeah. And if you do, check out the sources we mentioned.
Suetonius Dio Cassius.
That paper on Augustus's laws.
And even the YouTube video about his wealth.
There's so much to discover.
It's like we've only just scratched the surface.
That's what's so great about history.
It's a journey that never ends.
Well said. Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the world of Augustus.
It's been a pleasure.
Until next time, keep learning, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.